Hello and welcome everyone. The season is finally here. Team selection, game week one. We're going to be looking over the team that I have created. And honestly, throughout preseason, I haven't really been tinkering with my team so much as learning as I've been making the videos. And now finally have a team that I'm pretty happy with. Um, and we're also going to take a look at one of my friends' teams who we've seen before in videos. Came number one in a specific game week last year, so won one of the jersey prizes on the old fantasy game. And he shared his team and unfortunately couldn't make it today based on the timing of wanting to get this out with plenty of time for people to use it as information for their teams. But has a couple notes, so when we get to this team, I'll maybe be reading off some notes and not looking at the camera as much. But you'll at least have two different team drafts to go through, and they're very different players on both because we didn't talk before making our teams. So it'll just be interesting to see different players that have been chosen. He's also very savvy on like his Milan players and stuff like that, where I know more probably about the Juve players and just I guess based on our team preferences, also have more of a deep dive into different players from different teams. But here we go, the big team reveal. And this is what we've come up with so far. Uh, the budget's really hard to work with in the Kickass Serie A fantasy team based on some of the high prices of especially defenders, goalkeepers, and having the coach as well. But this is kind of what we've come up with. I guess inactive. What does this mean? Sorry, I didn't see. I'm just gonna refill this. But at the end of the day, this is just going to be a 4 mil keeper that doesn't matter at all. So I will pick you. Okay. And so we'll save here. So there, new team now. Um, but we have up front, our three strikers are Luca in the absence of Lukaku, Castellanos with Lazio's really good fixtures, and he is a little bit cheaper. And then we have Jonathan David as well on the bench. And one thing is being from Canada, definitely know a lot about Jonathan David. What a great goal scorer. He should have the starting striker spot over Vlahovic. I really hope so. I really hope they're not going to waste him away. Um, and I originally had Lukaku in this team. Since his injury, Luka should be number one starter for Napoli. And it's kind of nice because that like saves, I think it's 5 credits if we go to Lukaku. Yeah, he's Lukaku's 20. So having the top striker on Napoli actually saves 5 credits from when Lukaku's healthy. Um, and in addition to that, all of the wingers, basically, especially our top wingers, which Leao, Pulisic, we'll talk about them a little more when we get to Peter's team here. But top wingers are listed as forwards, so it's hard to just pick three and budget them in. So I went for big on the midfield, and as we'll see as we get to them, sorry, big on the forwards, and as we see it, the midfield would probably arguably be pretty weak outside of De Bruyne. So if you're saying terrible midfield, well, that's kind of the strategy I've chosen to do at the start, where elsewhere going big on the defense and attack. But those are my three attackers. Lazio has really good fixtures. Napoli seems to it one. Luca's great for keeping the price down and still having a high-end forward. Um, and then Jonathan David, part of it is just a lot of excitement for having a Canadian national player on my favorite team in Juventus as well. So I'm not going to lie, there could be a little bit of bias playing in here. Obviously, if you're going for Lautaro Martinez, Moise Kean, um, one of the Milan forwards right now, like those are still all great picks as well. But we are going to go with Jonathan David with a little bit of bias in that decision as well. So keep that in mind. I'm going to fully admit that. Um, Next, we drop down to the midfield, and we have Kevin De Bruyne, who I think is the out and out, by far best listed midfielder in the game. I know some would argue with McTominay. I know Nico Pats is really highly owned as well. I'm not going down that route yet. I'm going to see how some of these players score points in this format, and then with 5 free transfers every week, it'll be easy to adjust if I need to bolster my midfield a bit. Um, but this is kind of what we got going. I did have another Canadian, Ishmael Kone from Sassuolo in here at one point, which again, that's probably a player that's just going to end up being benched at the end of the day. But in the Conference League, Fiorentina started Endure on an attacking for or like a wing position where he got quite forward and he is only 7.5, which allowed me to actually still have 2.5 credits in the bank. I don't know if I'm actually going to invest that into my team right now or just save that for a little bit. Um, but I thought that was an interesting pick. And again, it's one of those positions where I thought they would just end up on my bench anyway. Stanchu, I think, was playing the cam role for Genoa, had a pretty good game in the Coppa Italia, so I thought I'd take a chance on him. And really, when you get to under 10 credits for the midfield, you're kind of throwing darts and hoping something sticks. So that's going to be one of my darts that I'm throwing. Hegelson of Lecce. He was a starter and just a budget enabler at six. And Guillaume, same thing, really cheap midfield that starts. I do need, I think, as far as formation options, there's no two midfield formations, so I do need three of them to stick. So I'm assuming the main two are going to be De Bruyne and Stenchu, and then hopefully Indoor picks up something as well. I may end up with a very low score from one of these midfielders, but they should all be playing at least. But what I'm assuming is going to end up being my formation by the end of things when all the substitutions are done is a 4-3-3. Um, and yeah, I'm assuming Palma will probably be the defender that is out, and then probably Guillaume Heggelson will end up being out as well, unless they surprise. And I keep them in a reminder that at the end of the games each day, you can make substitutions. You can change your lineup, or sorry, your formation. And so I'm not locked into a 3-5-2 based on this. If Guillaume gets 0 points, I can take him out after his game and put someone else in, which is why some people might say it's insane to have David on the bench and Dumfries on the bench when I could be taking out these two. But Lecce and Sassuolo play day one. And so I'm going to let them play in case they do get a big score. And then when I assume that they will not, I will be subbing them out for Jonathan David, Denzel Dumfries, and Palma as the uh, game week continues on. There's three different turns, so at the end of each day, you can make your subs. These do have to be manual. The game will not make it for you. And at the end of the day, that activity in the game is going to be that's what's going to make the difference. People that can spend the time, which is tough for some people, I agree, but the people that can spend the time, visit the site every day, make the subs, maximize the points, it's going to be a major difference maker. Moving on to the defense, we have, so I went pretty big on the defense again. We have Estupinan for Milan, who transfer in, did play in the Coppa Italia match on the wing, was very attacking on Brighton, so I wanted to invest somewhat in the Milan defense. Di Lorenzo, just always a solid pick year after year. Napoli against the Swallow game week one. I think they're going to do well. And Cambiaso, another attacking defender for Juve, one of my favorite players in the side right now as well. Dumfries, very expensive, but I think it's worth it. The amount of assists and goals he gets as a defender, how attacking he is, I felt like I need him in the team. And I feel like Palma is someone that everyone should have in their teams, really just to enable budget to be used elsewhere, because I think he is starting as well. You can throw him into your lineup. If Udinese don't get scored on, he gets a clean sheet. Well, amazing. You just had someone that's 4 credits worth actually score you a decent haul. And if not, you just sell him out. So I think that's a really easy choice there. Um, I went with, I just put him in as you saw it, Chiocci or something for Cagliari. I don't think that he's a playing goalkeeper at all. Um, but I'm just planning on playing one goalkeeper. I don't think the budget in this game really allows for two starting goalkeepers. I believe the cheapest one would be Cremonese's goalkeeper at seven, or no, at eight. No, Oduro is eight. It was Pisa's goalkeeper at 7.5, I think, is Sempro. Um, I think that's their starting goalkeeper, and he's 7.5, and I think that's the cheapest. So I would rather use the 3.5 elsewhere. I know I do have a little bit of extra, and maybe I could even go down further to get a second playing goalkeeper, but I don't feel the need to. I feel like Providel will be just fine week in, week out for now. And if I need one, again, 5 transfers per week makes it really easy to move things around. Lastly, I do have Ivan Juric from Atalanta as my manager for now. Has should have an easy first game week. And while he will not necessarily get a great multiplier in this game, in most games, he'll get a multiplier around one, somewhere between like 0.8 and 1.2 or something like that. So just relatively consistent coach coefficient. That is my team and the reasons for them. We can now take a look at Peter's team. I'm just going to have to stop sharing the screen for a second and get his up one moment. Da, 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 da. Share. If you bear with me, well, I got these notes. So here is Peter's team. So just as another look at another draft someone has. Um, So, like I said, he is big into Milan. And remember, you can have 4 players plus the coach from a team this year. So he could still have another one, and he's not maxed out on Milan here. But I don't really know if going 4 players from the same team is really a very smart idea. That's a lot of investment just into one game. Maybe in like the final match week or something, targeting a really easy fixture or something. But he feels really strongly about Milan, Napoli, Juve all having strong seasons. He knows a lot about the starters in the teams, follows them closely. And what we did see in the Coppa Italia match with Milan is Leao and Pulisic started as like the top two in a 4-4-2 formation. So they weren't actually playing as wide as they normally do, but they were both starting at the front. So they we'll see how that changes things. So he has the captaincy on Leao right now. Remember, you can change captaincy every turn. So every day the matches end if you don't like the captaincy haul that they got. So it makes sense for him to have the captaincy on Leao as it's turn one. If Leao blanks, he can move it over to someone that's a turn two. And actually, most of his team is turn one, but he could move it on to Delebashu if he wanted to as well. He just won't have an option for the third one, but I think there might only be one match on the Monday. He says that he is very fond of the work in the transfer market by both Napoli and Milan as well, so expecting big things out of them. He wanted to support the defense of Milan with Allegri coming back into Milan now. So he's assuming, which happened at Juve as well. They get much more defensive when Allegri's at the helm. But seeing that they still did play 2 strong strikers. Um, and then some other things. So he also has Jonathan David. We both, obviously being from Canada, know what he is capable of. But he did have some interesting picks outside of the top team. So one he wanted to point out was Camarda up front for Lecce. And again, Camarda will be playing turn one, David turn two. So that's why Camarda is starting right now, because if he blanks, he can still move Jonathan David in for Camarda. Um, but with Kristovic transferring over to Atalanta now, he thinks that while Lecce might not score many goals, it's likely gonna be going through him when they do. Having Dele Bashu here. Um, he looks apparently to be the starting center attacking mid for Lazio, and at a price point of 10.5, that could show actually to be really good value if that is the case, the one feeding Castellanos. Has Ricci Labocca, I thought was a little interesting. He didn't really have any notes on him, but just, I guess, supporting that midfield of Napoli. And here's Ishmael Kone, the Canadian that we both know playing at his peak can be amazing. He did play in the Coppa Italia match for Sassuolo. Nothing super stuck out there, but he did get good minutes and nice to see him starting into the squad right away. He's gone double Napoli defense, which I'm sure will pay off against Sassuolo in game week 1. Has Posh as more of a budget, still playing for a good side in Bologna, and one of his Milan defenders, Pavlovic. He also thought very highly on the Fiorentina for the start of the season, especially their defense with the fixtures that they have. So he's gone with Jonathan David and Dodo as 2 Fiorentina options. Also has Chioccia. I didn't even see his before I chose that. Just he was the highest owned for credit goalkeeper. So it's like maybe somebody knows that he might get time at some point. Um, but Chioccia is goalkeeper, who I'm assuming will never play as well. And Samartic for Atalanta. Lastly, his manager was Pioli. I'd say Pioli would probably be my second choice manager behind Juric, just again based on those early fixtures, and they'll have relatively consistent multipliers, whether they're the more expensive or less expensive manager. So I think that's a good choice as well, but really interested to see how both of these teams do. There's very little overlap in our two teams. I actually think Jonathan David and our backup goalkeeper are the only two players that overlap. So you see a lot of variation between the ways that you can go in Kick Serie A fantasy, which should make things very interesting. Um, but that is kind of what we have for team selection number one. All team selections maybe will not be this long, but I probably will be going down to just kind of making team selections in review at the beginning of team selection videos from now on, just because two videos, sometimes it gets hard to make towards the latter half of the season. Maybe I'll make extra videos throughout, but at least they'll be longer single videos rather than short ones that feel rushed and stuff like that. So I'm hoping to just do a video at least every week going over how people are doing in our leagues, how the past game week went, and what I will be doing with my team in the new one. And then I'll probably have like YouTube shorts for the different turns, just saying if I'm moving people in or out or whatever, but those will be just shorts. So that's kind of, I think, the style that I'm going to go with this year. And yeah, good luck. Let me know if you have any questions. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. We're almost at 700 subscribers. Let's try to hit that before the game week or the season starts tomorrow. That would be awesome. And I will see you all soon. Take care.